What does it take to be a successful entrepreneur? A dangerous amount of coffee and a ton of grit. My name is Jason Tracy, and every week I interview business leaders to share their stories, life lessons, failures, and advice with you. Welcome to Coffee and Grit. What is up? What is up to all the difference makers? I've got Wendy Caverly in the studio today. Super excited to have a conversation with Wendy. It's been 4 years, and this is really crazy. So before Coffee and Grit, for everybody that's listened to Coffee and Grit, before Coffee and Grit, I did these other iterations of trying to really figure it out, trying to figure out my branding, trying to figure out my content. I remember when I first started, I did this thing by myself called The Weekly Roar, which I had this business coach that did the editing for me for this video, and it was just me by myself talking. And that was when I realized I do not like sitting and talking by myself in front of a microphone. You know, I love these conversations where you have some kick-ass person in front of you and you just really dive in and understand how they tick. But like, I also, just that back and forth, that flow and conversation is really where I come alive. You know, like it's that back and forth, that alignment, that collaboration. And then sometimes even the friction when you have with people. Friction is good, especially like when you're talking about like leadership, and, you know, that friction can be good because that's what changes people's like perceptions, right? And so super excited. So I was stumbling along doing these things, and then I had this really awesome idea. I'm like, I'm going to do business on a bike, because for those that don't know, I ride a Harley, and I'm like, I'm going to ride out to these entrepreneurs and I'm going to interview them. And so Wendy was actually my second and my last guest on Business on a Bike. I did 2 episodes of it, and they were so phenomenal, so awesome, but it took so... You talk about editing. I was like editing the ride from my Harley to Wendy's house, and like editing, and I still look back at those clips and I'm like, I was such an amateur, but these are badass. Like those, like the Harley and like the Guns N' Roses sound in the background, and like it was a really cool. I loved listening back to the clips. But anyways, had this killer conversation, and it does not feel like 4 years ago, because we had this like COVID like time warp where it's either feels like it was 15 years ago, or it feels like it was yesterday. You know, it was yesterday. Yeah. So, so Wendy, man, welcome.
Hi.
Wendy, girl, lady. Wendy, welcome to the studio.
I answer to anything. So thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Me too. And so it literally, what's so cool about this is it was like right at the beginning of October. I want to say like October 2nd, around that area when I interviewed. Like, so it's literally been 4 years. 4
years.
Like coming around.
Yes.
When we were booking this, I'm like, I saw it on the calendar. I'm like, this is awesome. It's like 4 years coming around.
We were outside on my deck. The trees were changing. Yeah, it was. It was definitely, you're right. I think
fall.
I had Halloween decorations in my front yard. So it was definitely October. Yeah.
You did. I'm sure your backyard's looking beautiful.
It's not this year. I have chickens now.
Oh.
And they eat everything. I love them. I'm glad to have them, but gardening and chickens, I don't want to live in a cage, and I don't make them live in one either. So the front looks gorgeous. The backyard looks a little bit like a farmyard. So, but it's still lovely. It's still, peaceful.
You
it's
just have the chickens. And
right. It's just not flowers galore this year. Yeah. I mean, I have a hydroponic vegetable tower. And I only got like 3 zucchinis off of it because they were eating the zucchinis hanging off the tower. They tried so that's okay. That's okay. You know, this first year is a learning curve year.
Oh, it's the first year too.
Yes. I got them in April. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
That's definitely a learning experience. That sounds fun. Yeah. So let me know how that goes. So tell us, tell the audience, what do you do? Like, who are you? And, what's your business?
Okay. Well, my name is Wendy Caverly, and my company is Crusaders Networking. That's my coaching, consulting, speaking business. And what I talk about is strategy and skill and intent with your connections. I happen to be somebody that I'm not a big fan of the word networking because it's become so muddled, so misused. Matter of fact, I frequently just say now, networking is an activity. Connection is the goal. How are you going to connect for long-term results? This is what this is about. So it's something that honestly, I'm not a fan of saying this, but if it hadn't been for 2020, I would not be here. So many people fell to the fire. A lot of people rose from it, but they rose different. And that was me too. You were talking about those early videos.
Yeah. Yep.
I was encouraged that when the lockdowns went into place, one of the very best compliments I still have ever received in my life is I had a client say that when the lights went out, Wendy picked up her shield and charged forward.
Mm-hmm.
And I had made it a personal mission that year that none of my clients were going to go out of business because of this crisis, because that was a crisis. It was no different than a natural disaster wiping out a downtown area. Your business is closed. You can't bring in money. You go out of business. It's a FEMA statistic. You can't fight it. So I made that goal. And in the process of offering weekly, meeting connections and offering workshops on people, how they could keep their businesses open or get their businesses reopened or do all of those kinds of things. Some of my network said, Wendy, you need to start making videos. You need to start putting yourself out there. And the very first video I ever made was called Fear in Business. And looking back at that, I'm like, oh my God. I can't believe that I recorded that and put that out. That's so like you said.
Yeah.
But then that's where that experience comes from, right? You get used to talking to yourself, by yourself, on camera, and then it's kind of a different ball, kind of different game when all of a sudden now there's somebody else in the room and there's a camera because now you have, there is somebody here actively making faces at me when I sound stupid. So, but yeah, you just get better, you get more comfortable, and you get better at translating what you do. And my passion is teaching people how to connect effectively to build lasting results. And I translate the skill through what I call the landscapes. And it's actually an assessment that's a proprietary assessment that measures how people like to connect naturally. And it is not something where there's 4 quadrants. There's farming, foraging, fishing, hunting. Each one of those is a different, what do I call it? Objective. I don't like the word goals because goals have an ending. Mm-hmm. Objective. They have a different objective that they fulfill. As professionals, we need to do 4 things on a consistent basis. We need to establish and maintain relationships. We need to spot and leverage new opportunities. We need to attract mentors and collaboration partners so we can get into larger rooms in front of larger people. And we need a measurable action plan. So we are productive, not busy. So we know we can manage our frustrations and we know when to celebrate our successes. And those 4 we are all a combination of those 4. But which ones we are dominant in is how we like to connect. And each one of those landscapes has a different skill set and a traditional activity associated with them. And what I love about them is they're wonderfully revealing. It's not something where the goal is 25, 25, 25, 25. That's actually the worst result you could get because that's like standing at a crossroad. You could go in any direction and make it to the destination, but you still don't know which one is the best, the most effective, the most beneficial. Mm-hmm. You're going to find your way there. So I start with this assessment, and it shows me people's natural instincts. It shows me how they like to connect. It even frequently shows me their frustrations. And it did for me too. I have my own. I have my own framed on the wall. And I do refer to it from time to time because that's that really great opportunity when you don't know, you can take that step back and look at that bigger picture. And for me, the best example of this recently was Thursday night. The night before this very large golf event that I organize now every year. And I have spent the whole month of September frustrated, stressed, and frankly resentful, pure and simple, because the things that needed to be done this month to get this event finished are not my default. Not only are they not my default, I am significantly weak in them.
Yep.
And I thought to myself, if I had seen that 3 weeks ago, I probably would have handled things different and better because awareness gives you control. Yeah. And that's what this is about. It's about strategy and intent and skill and managing the unexpected. I mean, we talked about, 2020, we talked about how much you've evolved and changed. It is about pivoting, adapting, overcoming. It's about strategically finding those people who are going to help you do that.
Yeah.
And they're going to do it for years to come. And so that's my passion. That's what I love to do. I love to inspire people to take control of their networking activities. It's not something that you just do and hope something happens. It's something that you plan and create the results from.
Before we get back at it, a quick shout out for our sponsor, Playbook Builder, powered by AI. This show has always been about giving the resources and the tools to small business owners in order to grow and scale your businesses successfully. And so I'm so excited to partner with a company that does just that. If you've listened and heard any of our guests, you've heard talking about building process, developing and training, building culture are all such important pieces in order to building a great company. Well, Playbook Builder, powered by AI, has come along and revolutionized the game on how you can do that for your team and people. Whether you're onboarding new people, training and developing, continued training and developing, you're looking to scale your business or eventually sell, or most importantly, you're looking to build a legacy as a visionary. Playbook Builder, powered by AI, is able to solve those problems for you. For me as a consultant, I've been able to plug in, and it's so amazing for what I do for clients. I can now leave a legacy. And so, for example, I'm next week training a new hire for a company, and I've been able to build out the next month of her training program using Playbook Builder, powered by AI. The cool thing about the AI, what does that do? What's the hardest part of building out a process? Taking the step by step and making it easy to learn. What the AI piece does is you can actually type in what process it is, whether you want to onboard, if you want to onboard a new employee, type in onboard a new employee and what type of industry you're in, and the AI will put together a foundation for you to build out your playbook. It is absolutely incredible. But don't take my word for it. Head on over to playbookbuilder.com, and these guys have set it up to where you can take this for a test run with no obligations. Plug in what kind of playbook you want to build. If it's a sales training playbook, for example, plug that in the description. And in the description, you can also put in what kind of industry you're in, and then hit generate, and it will generate a playbook for you. Impressed from there, and you can take a 30-day free trial of the playbook system altogether. I love how you start off with that, like personality. There's a personality test.
There's a personality element to it, definitely.
Personality element, or, just really, it's awareness,
Right.
And so whether it's personality or just self-awareness, that self-awareness test, and just understanding where they are at and how they like to connect.
Yeah.
Because you could be telling somebody some advice or training them on how to build relationships, and it's just not in their personality.
Yes.
How do they then do that?
What's really interesting about that is that's why I adopted the assessment. I had it available to me, but I had a coaching client who was sent to me by their employer.
Uh-huh.
And I don't know how that works for you, but a lot of times they are the most resistant because they think they're being punished, not rewarded.
Yeah.
And I based on the responses to questions, I made an assumption of her default. And I could just see it wasn't working. She wasn't caring. She didn't care.
Yeah.
She didn't care. She wasn't getting the results she want. I kind of don't understand why she even had that position anyways. I've never met somebody who had no job experience with manager in her title, who thought she was still a student. Everything that she was talking about wanting her boss to pay for was just, mentorships and training programs. But you have manager in your title. You should already know how to do this stuff, but it just wasn't working. So out of desperation, I asked her to do this assessment. She was completely different than how she presented. No wonder she wasn't liking any of this.
Yeah.
It wasn't her default. So that has become not only standard for new clients now, but I actually have like this Venn diagram 5-page report I will write on what does this mean for you, and what does the overlap mean, and how you'll respond to things. So that, you're right, there is true value in just the awareness. If you don't want to do anything about it, that I can't make you. Yeah. I'm not here to hold your hand. Yep. I'm here to give you awareness. Yep. Right. But a great example of that as well is I have another client where we were using this assessment to help him hire. And what he wanted to know is which one could sell best. And that's not what it says. What it says is how they will sell.
Yeah.
Are they going to sell on the nurturing, hand-holding farmer? Are they going to sell on the excited, energetic forager? Are they going to sell on the strategic, forward-thinking fisher? Are they going to sell on the analytical, if you do this, you'll get this, hunter? So it's not whether or not they can, it's how they're going to do it.
Yeah.
How are they going to approach accomplishing that goal? And that's where the agility comes in, right? When you learn to recognize how you like to operate, you eventually learn to recognize how other people are operating so you can adjust accordingly.
Yep.
That's the real superpower, where you learn to give the other people what they need from you instead of beating them over the head. I mean, we're avid networkers. We have been at all kinds of stuff for 10 years, right? We know the introverts don't think they can network, so they're just there. And we know the extroverts don't realize that they are a party in a box. It's really learning.
They don't have to work for it. They actually like doing it.
Right, but that's another thing too. Introverts don't think they can when actually they're the most powerful people in the room. Because the honest answer is at a random networking event, listening and asking questions is the best way to get the next conversation. That's the default. The introvert is now in control because they're leading the conversations, and the extrovert just starts to overwhelm people. But here's the thing: the party in the box is doing a whole lot of socializing, and they're making a whole lot of friends.
Yep.
But what they needed were customers.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I run into people, they're like, "Oh, I make friends everywhere I go." I'm like, "Great. How's your sales?" And I'm not even a sales coach. This is a combination thing.
Yep.
This is an explosive spark thing. So many people think networking your business is making friends. Friends come, but clients become friends 1,000 times faster than friends become clients.
Absolutely.
So there's some simple intent, some simple strategy, some simple tempering. As I jokingly said at the event on Friday, no one showed up here with a contract and an invoice waiting to be paid.
Yeah.
So you're just here to start a conversation and hope you get to have a next one. Just enjoy the day and focus on that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's all about that relationship building. I love that. Like you come with the contract ready to sign. It's like going to the date with the marriage license ready to go.
Right. Right. Just in case it worked out, I have everything with me right now. No,
I'm very prepared.
It's very, exactly.
I love that though, when you talk about like introverted people, a lot of times don't think they have a lot to offer. I remember I had this guy on my sales team that like he had no emotion, like you never knew if he was like happy, sad, indifferent. Like he was just very introverted. And he'd always say like, "I can't believe you have me on your sales team. I'm the worst salesperson ever." But his numbers didn't agree. He was always top 5 in my company. And like, people know what they can expect from you. They know they can trust you. They know you listen, and they know that after you listen, you give them a good solution. Like
the introvert right there.
Like you have all the talent in the world because all people want to do is talk about themselves.
Yes.
Just ask them good questions.
Yes.
You go forever.
Especially at that beginning point. But they want to feel heard.
Yeah.
They want to be seen.
Yes.
They want to at least feel understood, even if you can't offer the solution. Yeah. Yeah. That's why superheroes. Mm-hmm.
So you mentioned a couple of times, like, you've been networking for years and that kind of thing. So how's this metamorphosis going? Because I know that, it's really the networking that's kind of led you into the entrepreneurship.
Yes. Yes. Well, let's see.
Networking.
Networking is an activity. That's why it's an adjective. Or is it an action verb? I don't know. Grammar and me have never been friends.
I hate networking and the whole term. And
Right. I mean, that's my other favorite joke. I'm not teaching people how to ninja star throw their business card. That's not the point. It's
bam.
Yeah, exactly. I've always enjoyed the being rewarded for my own efforts. And so I've always been drawn. I mean, I started out in politics and I've done some contract work. I had a vending and coffee business that I was one of the operators of for like 7 years. And at that point I had decided, I'm Hi, I'm back in my mother's basement. So maybe I'm not meant to work for myself. Maybe I'm supposed to have that safe clock in, clock out, Monday through Friday benefits job. And it was the recession anyways. So I ended up working at a large insurance company, not like the home office of a large insurance company. I'm in the basement. I'm processing returned mail. Why did this mail come back? The address is wrong. That's why. Why is the address wrong? Because your stupid computer keeps changing it. So, but that was, it was okay. So that was good, but it was a terrible job because I'm smart. I'm ambitious.
Yep.
And it was not a complicated job. So within a year of being there, not only was I doing my job, but I was helping 3 other people do their jobs, which doesn't do anything but just breed resentment.
Absolutely.
Pure and simple.
Absolutely.
Pure and simple, breeds resentment. And I was trying to figure out how to make a career out of this. But as with a lot of very large corporations, there's very rarely a mailroom to the boardroom scenario any longer because everything is lateral, wait a year, maybe up, wait a year, lateral, wait a year, right? So I was hoping to get this position created for me. And two of the people that I worked with were toxic. It was a toxic environment. And, but these 2 in particular, I recognized were very much the cause of it. Like, I don't think there was anybody in the department who did less work than them, but also got the most help.
Yeah.
And I had an issue with them one day and I went to my manager and I said, I need help. And she made a mistake that changed my life. So thank you to you if you're watching this.
Yes, yeah.
She told me to handle it myself. I can hear.
I love. I can hear Grant laughing.
I can hear him laughing. Yeah.
I'm like, oh, it's gonna be a good one.
Do I strike you as a woman who will handle something without being a sledgehammer? By the way, so I'm actually much smoother now. I really am. But about a week later, I found myself called into the conference room, and I thought I was getting that promotion. That's the best part of the story. I thought I was getting a promotion. I was written up for not handling it right. And I tell you what, prior to that, I was never a person who talks back to authority, right? If I feel that you have authority over me, I prefer to not have your attention.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Just kind of like, don't call, no news is good news kind of a thing.
You don't want them to see how you really feel.
Right. Or, because let's be honest, the majority of the time, if your boss is wanting to talk to you privately, it's very rarely, just wanted you to know, we're so happy with your work.
We're so happy to have you.
Right.
Which is more culture than anything, bad leadership and yeah.
And as I mentioned, this is a toxic environment. Yeah. And from what I've heard from or from other people who are still there 10 plus years later, it's still a toxic environment. Ugh. And so that was a really great breaking point for me. And I do feel sorry for the assistant manager who had to be there to, witness, because both of us were standing up, leaning on the table, yelling at each other. I'm like, I asked you for help. You told me to figure it out. You don't get to tell me I did it wrong. But it was that moment, honestly, that I realized I was an at-will employee and I no longer was choosing to be there. And so I was the 4th person in my department to take a paid stress leave that year. But unlike my coworkers, I went job hunting.
Hell yeah.
And that's how I ended up with the payment processing company that, and I remember my past experience with the chamber when I was a vending and coffee business for 7 years. So I got this sales rep job where I'm going to make $1 million. It's going to be so easy. It's a horrible, hard industry. It really is. You got to be a special person to excel at merchant services. Mm-hmm. You really do. So God love them that can. But I got this new job. I put in my 2 weeks notice. You're
coming from the corporate America.
Corporate America's basement. It's not quite the same thing. It's not quite as sexy as a boardroom. No private jets for me. I got the Earth Day reusable lunch bag. Yay! Look at that. The free turkey at Thanksgiving.
But that's most of corporate America. We look
Right.
at corporate America and we think of the corporate leadership and the jets and the cool things. But
Right.
most of it, like you even look at middle
You're right.
leadership, you're fucked. Like you can't.
You're right.
Like you're in a like quandary of no decisions. Like you can't. Like what's the incentive? Anyways,
But-
that's why I'm here.
But you're
Yeah.
absolutely right. And corporate America did leave its scars on me. I am an email person because I want a paper trail because of them, right? You know, that's just my default now. So I ended up, with a chamber doing this thing. I ended up in the Sears Net referral team system. And at some point over the next 6-7 months, I'm failing massively at credit card sales, right? But I found that I could literally make a living finding out what makes people cool and sharing them with others. And that's what I did for years. That was my primary source of income. It's still the bulk of my income. But in 2020, I was making videos to encourage people to keep moving forward, to keep focused, that they were making plans while your competition is waiting for permission. That when the lights come back on, we're in motion. This is why you build network. This is why you have people you can call on. Because when it's, I actually do a talk now called Stop Setting Your Business on Fire, Learn to Prepare and Not Need to Repair. And I talk about a fire extinguisher, right? Mm-hmm. When do you need a fire extinguisher? And it's funny how many people say, when there's a fire. The correct answer is before the fire. Not,
You're going to buy it now.
Exactly.
That's funny.
Yes. And just like the fire extinguisher sitting underneath your kitchen sink, if you never use it, you don't regret having it. Same thing with your network. You will never regret having it, even if you never need to use it. And one of the videos I made was about farming your business for success. And I used my own vegetable garden. And how I didn't just throw the seed on the ground and walk away. I nurtured it. I gave it what it needed. And now I have a bountiful harvest coming in. And that video was seen by a national sales director for a print and promo company. That was my first Crusaders lesson.
Yeah.
Take advantage of LinkedIn and look at someone's profile so you know who you're talking to. I had no idea that this was a big kind of fish, right? And he thought I was a sales trainer.
Yeah.
And they were looking for services to offer to their sales force to overcome that 65% hit that they took, because there's no golf outings, no expos, no festivals, no home shows.
No in-person anything.
No in-person anything. And no one's buying chip clips, right? They don't, or ink pens. They don't need them.
Yeah.
And that was the moment that I realized that people do not focus on building sincere connections when things are easy. But that's exactly when you should be loading your network up, when things are easy. So when they are rough, you're not constantly pivoting or failing. And I had no idea after 8 years of doing it for a living that it wasn't default in humans. But it is a skill. And that's the beautiful part. It looks like art when it's mastered, but it's a skill. So it can be learned by anyone. And this model that I have developed doesn't require you to change who you are to be good at it. It's find your style, not copy me.
That's really the only way to be.
Right, but most aren't.
I know.
Most are like, I'm going to reproduce myself. Yep. I don't want to reproduce myself, but I'm a hot mess sometimes. You don't need this. You need to access I have clients that you would never know are introverts because they are so comfortable navigating themselves in their skill set.
Yeah.
And, just pure and simple. One, Christy Hyduke.
Oh yeah.
She'll tell you in a heartbeat she's an introvert. I had no idea. She tells me now, I used to follow you around at networking events because I knew you would introduce me to people and talk for me. And I'm like, I had no idea.
That's clever.
Yes. Find yourself an extroverted friend.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah, that's how this came. And And just like, coffee on or business on a bike.
Yeah.
There's been these continuous evolutions, and this is what people need. This is not working. The Atlas was fabulous, but my collaboration partner got her dream job, Michelle.
Yep.
For Mind Check now.
Oh yeah.
And then there's it's constantly pivoting. But the honest thing is I actually, in some ways, I don't want it huge. I'll stand in front of a room of 1,000 people, not a problem. But I like my private strategy coaching because I love making the entire thing about you, your needs, and how to get you to your goal. And it's not about, I have 15 people in the room.
Yeah. So
you're getting a watered down, hopefully you can pick out the ingredients you need.
Yeah.
I really like that small group or one-to-one focus.
I'm that same way. Because again, everybody's different.
Yeah.
And for me, it's all about personality too, in finding their strengths, because everybody's trying to get better at what they're weak at. They're spending so much time putting in time into getting better at what they're weak at, and then ignoring or being humble at what they're strong at. People have a hard time with it. No, I have a hard time with the word humble and how people interpret it, and being like afraid to admit your strengths.
Right.
And say, I'm damn good at this.
I'm good at this.
I'm good at this. And I'm going to get, continue.
If it's true, it's not bragging.
Right?
Yeah.
So find your strengths.
And
work on those
Yes.
as opposed to constantly trying to be like that guy over there or that person over there or that,
Yes. And then the weakness thing, that was, like I said, that realization, if I had only looked at my own landscapes 3 weeks earlier, I might have handled September better, was I want to get to a point where that stuff that frustrates me, that I find irritating, I could pay the right person to do. I truly believe that's one of the beautiful advantages to the world that we live in now is you do not have to be a jack of all trades and a master of none.
Yep.
You can be really good at what you do. I am a master strategic connector. I don't have to be a good salesperson. I don't have to be a good, web designer. I just have to know them.
Yep.
That's network.
Yeah.
That's that. And knowing that you've built a connection with them, that if you call, they're going to answer the phone, and it doesn't matter how long it's been, or those connections that they don't grow with you. They go with you. Right? If you are a professional that every time you change careers, which happens a lot now, you have to start all over, you are doing something wrong.
Absolutely.
Your network should be connected to you as a professional, not the business card.
Yep.
So yes, I get very passionate about this. And honestly, it's just about giving people, it's not a sense of control, it's actual control in a world of chaos. This is something you do have control over. And it is one of the most important things that you can control in your life, because 20 years from now, when you're standing on stage accepting the Human of the Year award, you will be able to stand up there and share with the room, thank you. Because of you, I'm here. Because of you, I'm here. Nobody gets there alone.
Yeah.
And you get there faster and more effectively if you build those connections and try to bring people with you. Sometimes people are just not coming with you.
Absolutely.
Doesn't matter how many times you try to drag them with you into that bigger room.
Yep.
You gotta, that's a lesson that I'm working with somebody right now, is recognizing the difference between trying to pull someone along with you and someone keeping you back. I hate it, but you're not cutting anybody off.
Yeah.
But maybe they need to, there's a lot of people out there that until they've seen it done, they don't think it can be done.
Absolutely. And maybe they'll come along later on.
Right.
The other thing that you see is like, there's that growth is, if you're pursuing something, if you're pursuing growth, then you're like, you're growth minded, you're pursuing that growth, and this other person is not.
Yeah.
In that 6 month period of time, there's going to be a huge separation. So where people say, you changed. Yes. I did.
Yes.
I'm glad you noticed. Thank you.
Yes. And that is also a lesson that I have, like I said, awareness gives you control. So sometimes a lot of this for me over the last 3 years has been revisiting my own history. What lesson did I learn, but I didn't realize I learned it? And I realized that I have been left behind by people, but I have also left people behind. So I have to be okay.
Yeah.
I have to be okay with the people that, you know what, it ran its course. It's actually one of my favorite kind of joke examples is, no happy marriage ends in divorce. We know that.
Yeah.
But if a marriage resulted in children who are loved and wanted, it wasn't a failed marriage.
Absolutely.
It just ran its course.
Yep.
The same thing happens with connections. The same thing happens with people in your lives.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because they're human relationships.
Right.
Well, a lot of times we sector off those things. These are my business relationships. These are my friendships. These are my, whatever. We sector off where we know these people, but they're all like, whether we're dating them, we're in business with them, we're married to them, whatever.
Yep.
They're all the same because it's dealing with another human.
Yes. Did you see that? Because that was a post I made on LinkedIn last week.
No, yeah.
It's what most people's networks look like, and it's siloed. What it should look like is that Venn diagram.
Yeah.
You at the center. You are the connector, and you could be connecting two businesses, two friends, a business and a friend, a family member. Good Lord. I wish I did. I don't even know how long ago it would be. I'd have to do the math. But I wish I was the me now when my mother turned 63, 64, 65, because she wouldn't have made a whole bunch of mistakes that happened to a lot of people in this country because they listened to the commercials. They called the 800 number. I know people now.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
can, and that's a way that I take care of my loved ones.
Yep.
Is knowing the people who will do the right thing by them.
That's what's so cool when we talk about, we've learned the word connecting, building connections, your network, all those different words. But it's really that I get spammed so much, from you name it, marketing companies, virtual assistants, you name it. I'm spammed by them, email, LinkedIn, whatever. I know so many people in these industries that I know, like, and trust. I'm not looking, I'm never going to buy from somebody that's like all of a sudden just emailing me that they can help me with my problem and solution, and I know that not everybody's me or you, but wow, what if they could be like, this was really cool. You have a problem. And it's like, wow, do I know somebody that does this?
Farming landscape. It's relationship building and maintenance. Part of that is not part of it. A lot of it is maintaining happy customers. And part of that is having resources. So that's a sticky point for a lot of professionals that are, building their business or whatever the case may be. I don't know why I need to talk to you. You don't want my stuff. Yeah, but you could be the resource that saves one of my clients, therefore saving me a client.
Absolutely.
But that gets pushed to the side far too often. Like you said, I get those. That's why I don't do drip campaigns, because I don't want to be that name you have been trained to ignore when you see it in the inbox, because you just assumed it was another weekly email.
Yeah.
Monthly work, whatever the case may be. But that's what I find funny, where, hey, we have virtual assistants. We review your website. Well, I'm a professional connector. I kind of know a few people already.
I know a few of these people.
If I need that, and I've actually said that to some of them, that this is what I do for a living.
Yeah.
Let's get to know each other so you can be added to my quiver. So I might be able to refer you, because I like giving people options, and 95% of the time,
nothing.
They're not interested.
Yeah.
And I'm like, and that tells me everything I need to know about where I would stand as a customer.
Yep.
Transactional only. Transactions important. Don't get me wrong. We all got bills to pay.
Yeah.
But I am not a transactional focused professional, and I don't want to align my name and my reputation with someone else who's just looking for the transaction too.
I want to do a transaction with a company where it's like, I want to go tell my friends about it.
Yes.
It's like when my friend has a problem with their heating and cooling, I'm gonna be like, oh my God, you got to call, this, like they took, cause I want to have like connections where I'm happy to go out and tell people,
yes,
you need to meet this person.
You're a raving fan.
Yeah.
You're a raving fan. You want to be a raving fan of these people. Yes, you want to be that person that heralds them as you want to be the person. Well, you want to be the person that people talk about when you're not in the room.
Yep.
In a good way.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, that's how you create those people who talk about you when you're not there. Yeah.
So for me growing up in a small town, it was like, and we talked about like small town, like I loved going in a restaurant and people knowing your name.
Oh, okay.
You know,
Yep.
like I loved like being able to walk into the
Cheers.
restaurant and like our order would be put in already, you know, and stuff like that. So it was like those kind of things. It was
Right.
like building those types of relationships were always like big on me to do what we're doing now, I guess.
Right. Right. Yes. I mean, there's comfort,
Yeah.
right? Because you're being seen. You are
Absolutely.
appreciated.
Yeah.
You are wanted. There is a difference between feeling appreciated and feeling tolerated. I've had experiences like that just in the last couple weeks where I was involved in something where nothing wrong happened, but the feel was tolerated, not appreciated.
Mm-hmm.
And when you feel as if, you're being tolerated, you give less, you care less, right.
Yeah.
You're talking about being appreciated, being remembered. They're caring.
Absolutely.
They know your coffee order. They know your food order. They know that you come in every Thursday at 2. Yeah.
Well, and that was just a big secret for me when I got into sales and like remembering how that made me feel. It was a big thing that I brought into my quiver of like, when people come in, I'm going to remember their names.
Yes.
I'm going to remember who they are because like one of my biggest pet peeves is when I meet somebody over and over again, and they're acting like it's the first time they've ever met me. And, some people may have this bad memory or whatever, but I can't stand it because I remember people like, and I was like,
right.
We've met 10 times, like, how do you not remember that we've had a conversation before?
Especially if you've had an actual, it's not just, hey, we shook hands.
Yeah.
But like, we've had lunch.
I know about your family.
Right.
Right.
Like, yes. Would you like me to tell you what you do? Because I remember.
I'm going to freak you out right now. This is going to be great.
Oh, yeah. That could come off really wrong. I know your family.
Like when you remember people's names, and that's just something that you do.
I'm not very good at that either. I'm working on it.
Okay. So like that was the, when I was getting into sales, like,
Terry, right? No, it's yeah.
For How to Win Friends and Influence People was one of the first books, the first personal development book I read. And I think it's chapter 3 or 4 or something. People's names are like music to their ears kind of thing. And so it was like a thing. There was like the reason why you don't, I won't go into it, but like when you remember people's names,
yeah.
One, it gives you a huge upper hand because 95% of people don't remember your name.
Right.
And so when you remember somebody else's name, you can see it in their eye that instantly you have the upper hand. They like concede you are owed something, my friend.
This is so on Friday I made lanyards for the committee members.
Yeah.
So they would stand out and somebody's like, well, you're not wearing one. And I'm like, I don't need one. They all know my name.
They all know my name. That's awesome. That is so awesome. Was that ever something like for you was like a kind of a cool, is that cool for like, is that something you ever aspired to do?
I think I view it more as I've made an impact on their life.
Yeah.
And traditionally it's a good impact because they know my name because I've inspired them or I've encouraged them or I gave them an insight if I was like speaking or something of that nature. Occasionally, I've also started to adopt the Winston Churchill phrase of you've made enemies, good, you've stood for something.
Yeah.
So I'm still working on that. I'm amazing at what I do, and yet I am constantly evolving. So
good.
Who I was in 20, Crusaders was born in 2020. It was founded in 21. And I'm just, so all of it is just so much better, but I still struggle with the 9 people enjoyed it. 1 person complained about it. And I dwell on that one person.
Uh-huh.
And I'm trying to figure out why. Why is that? So I'm trying to adopt that.
You need to find more of the 9 others.
Right. Yeah, exactly. and then we were talking about silly questions before we started. And that's one of the things I like about the icebreaker questions I use with my teams when we meet is they're usually ridiculous, but they do provide these interesting insights sometimes. Like, what would you call your boat if you were sailing around the world? Or would you prefer to fly or teleport? And I've lost track of where I was going with that. And one of the questions one day is, if you could be famous for anything, what would it be? And honestly, my answer was, I don't want to be famous. I want to be infamous. Because infamous people are always them.
Yeah.
Good or bad, you know how that person is going to react to that situation, whether you like them or not. So that's the infamous where, in my personal opinion of watching things over the last few years, when people get famous, they start chasing that fame. And then they open themselves up to constantly being criticized and changing directions because they're trying to make others happy. Where infamous, they're just always them.
Yeah. Yeah.
And there's an internal comfort to that. It's not easy. I'm not good at it either, but I rather be infamous because that's Wendy.
Yes.
Everyone gets the same Wendy. The Rodan and Fields skincare lady who's retired gets the same Wendy as the medical center director who's about to expand to 6 additional locations.
Yeah.
That's a very common thing you see drifting around LinkedIn. I treat the janitor the same as the boardroom. Honestly, the 99% of the time, I do not know the status of the person in front of me because they're just a person that I've met somewhere.
Yeah.
So I don't know whose butt to kiss and who's to dismiss.
Yeah.
So I'm going infamous. You always get the same Wendy, regardless of how you get to her. And I think that actually builds better trust because you don't have to wonder if I have an ulterior motive today.
Yeah.
Oh, she's nice to me. Does she need something from me?
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
You know, and some people don't like that, and that's okay because guess what? I may not like them either.
Yeah.
So yeah. Silly question that turned into a deep philosophical mental conversation with myself.
Well, it's like when you go places, and again, it goes back to like what you originally said, that impact, when you're impacting lives and you can walk around and people know you from that aspect, that's got to feel pretty special.
So, but I could also remember on Friday, the banquet manager saying, I had to wait until there wasn't 9 people around you because it can also be very overwhelming.
Oh, for sure.
Where like you asked about, I didn't take a picture of the winners because frankly, at what point would you
do that? Yeah.
Yes. But you're right. Because that also, I view that, I coach about trail markers, right? You learn to recognize the environments you're in. So once you recognize the environment you can access the skills to navigate that environment effectively.
Yep.
A random networking event has the opportunity to be a farming or foraging or fishing activity, depending on how you navigate the room. The breakfast in July, that is not a foraging activity for me. It's a farming activity. It's an opportunity for me to retouch base with a majority of people. Add another layer. Layer. I might be able to pick up new connections, but I don't go to that event looking for that because frankly, they're not a room of potential customers because they're somebody else's customers. And I'm not a poacher. Right. So but those trail markers kind of tell you if you're operating in a good environment or if you're operating outside your norm. So I try to pay attention to how those reactions are going, and having those people know my name and not curl their lips tells me that I'm on the right path.
Yep.
I am making a positive impact. I am on purpose. And I have to honestly say I'm well into my 40s to feel that it's only been the last 2 years that I have truly found it's not just my passion, it is my purpose.
Yeah.
I am here to inspire others to connect intentionally for their benefits and the benefits of everyone. Because you and I both know we are not take. We're give, get. Yep. And the world needs more of that anyways. So if I can inspire people to think bigger, take a step back, be intentional, that is a positive ripple. And I get to be the person who might have thrown that first stone. So that's actually super cool.
It's super freaking cool. That's super freaking cool.
Yeah.
What's so cool is like through 2020, I was with you in your war room as you're sitting there and trying to figure out how do I give more back to these people? How do I help them more?
More.
And then I remember specifically being like, Wendy, you have so much more to offer than even just SiriusNet. There's
Yeah.
like more to you than what you bring to the table outside of this organization. And so to see what you're doing now and how it's unfolded these couple years, I love seeing it and seeing all the content and seeing what you're doing.
Thank you. And that's why I tell, even if SiriusNet does decrease in my life, which it could, right? It's never going to go away because it fits very, very firmly in one landscape. I mean, each one of those landscapes has different things involved with them. But that's what I tell a lot of people. Referral teams are one part of one landscape out of 4. There are a lot of ways to build your business, to build your network without doing what is traditional or what is the first thing that people advise. One of my favorite strategy clients, he does not belong to chambers. He does not belong to any association not required by licensing. He does not belong to referral groups. We have been working together for a year because building connection with intention is not dependent on traditional activities. So it's one part of one landscape. There are 4. How are you managing these other things? So yes, it's
out of the 4, like, and it's in people's strengths and their wheelhouses, but like, how many do you recommend people do?
That's a very good question because it kind of sometimes depends on their stage of business.
Yeah.
But we also talk a lot about productive versus busy. You can busy yourself out of business and not know what you did. You don't have to attend 17 events this week when you saw the same people at 7 of them. Your time is valuable,
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
So a lot of times it's almost easier to, let's explore what you got now. That's actually something that I love doing too. I actually can do a networking review for people. They send me everything they're involved in and I will go do a deep dive and say, go to this, talk to this person. Did you know that this was available? Why are you doing this at all?
Yeah.
So
Awesome.
because it's easier to add than it is to subtract anyways. And so for landscapes, so let's see, farming landscape traditionally is the repetitive. So that would be your referral groups, community organizations, more things of that, where you're seeing the same people consistently over time. If somebody is a really strong farmer, they're a relationship builder, they're a hand holder, and not surprisingly, oftentimes they're more introverted. So they're great customer service. And so they are not, so when, we talk about using this maybe as a way to empower a new employee or something, you don't take your introvert and throw them into a chamber. And you don't take your extrovert and throw them into a referral group.
Yeah.
Right? Start them someplace where they're comfortable and then you can build them out from there. Let's see, under the foraging, that's the random, that's your meetups, that's your chambers. That's your kind of your walking around festival stuff, right? Where you don't know who, you don't know how many, you don't know, competition. There's a skill to that. And there's really a combination of all of these. The fishing landscape, this is an undervalued landscape, but I have also found in the last 18 months of doing these assessments that is the necessity landscape if you are either the owner, the manager, or the entrepreneur. That is the forward growth landscape. And you can get caught up in the maintain, but we all know maintain actually is a slower loss, right? That fishing landscape, strategic growth, forward momentum. How do I get to the bigger people? How do I make the bigger conversations? And traditionally, the activities in that landscape I recommend are things like the golf outings, the annual dinners, the Christmas dinners, joining country clubs. My favorite joke is, no one joins the Detroit Athletic Club because they want a good view of Tiger Stadium from a treadmill.
Yeah.
That is a strategic growth opportunity. They do these things because it gets them face time with people who are traditionally behind a series of gatekeepers. That's why I continue to run the golf event. That's why I have shifted the focus of this event annually to the business connecting networking aspect. So you can get time with people you can't get in front of because of gatekeepers, but they're there.
Yeah.
And the hunting landscape is actually the only landscape that doesn't have an activity directly associated with it. It's more of a mental game. It's also the only landscape where too much is bad and too little is bad, because too strong of a hunter, they are overly analytical. They will have paralysis by analysis. I have a client where I actually bullied him. It's like, we're just going to do this, okay? Because we've been talking about what you're going to do next for 3 months and you haven't done anything. So because they're trying to guarantee the outcome they want without actually doing anything, right? They're trying to map it, plan it, organize it.
Yeah.
And they also
want 100% guarantee that it's going to work out. And even then, it's not going to be enough.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And they also get frustrated really fast. I went once, I didn't get anything out of it.
Yep.
That's where my joke about, did you go with the contract? Because I'm surprised they didn't sign the contract at that random networking event.
They didn't sign the contract?
They didn't sign the contract. And then
no way, this never happens. Like, you're like,
what? You bought them a beer.
Did you bought them a beer,
You
right?
bought them the beer, right? Yeah.
Did you put the contract out?
Right. Did you offer maybe a QR code? Maybe that would have worked. And then the other half is the too little is, and this is part of my struggle. This is where I struggle too. We are having so much fun. We're not sure what's working, but boy, are we doing good. You know, so there's this overly rigid and easily frustrated to this, I'm having a good time. I'm a butterfly. I am everywhere. So again, that awareness brings that balance. So So you'd actually need a little bit of all of them. You really did, because all of them are contributing to those elements that you need for that longevity, for that foundation.
And that was my question, because that's what I found from angle of my business is like, as you went through every one of those, like, yep, okay, there's what I do from here. Because people ask me, how do you get well known? How do you walk into a room and people know you without having to say, like you just like, my name is Madonna, like you're just Wendy, like people know you. You're like, you have the one name, like people know me, and it's not a like arrogance thing. It's a thing of like knowing that I put the work in to build those relationships and make that impact.
That's
and
exactly what it is.
Like, people aren't waiting for me to leave, I hope. I feel like when I enter a room, people are happy. Same for you, right? When you enter that room, people are happy. And I had a point for this, and I can't remember what it was.
But I actually just reviewed a video that I made a couple years ago about that. And like, if you want to be the person everyone knows, it starts by being the person who gets to know everyone.
Yes. And that is it.
100%.
That is it. And
so simple.
So simple.
But, and time's going to pass anyways, but yet people, they're not doing the foundational stuff because they're attracted to the sparkly, I guess.
Yep.
Yeah.
I remember during 2020, it was like, oh crap, I'm a small business that coaches small businesses, and most of them just went out of business. I just lost half my revenue, right? What do I do? And I was like, I plugged in, it was like, hey, what groups do you want me to come and talk to?
Yep.
Right? I was like, I was going out to as many groups as I could and just talking to people and helping people. And I was giving out one-on-ones for free. And like, was it stressful? And I was worrying about my money. Yeah, in the background, but it's more or less like, if I can do good things for people and I can help them, like, it's going to come back, right? You go out and you do good things for people, and it's going to come back for you.
Give, get. Yeah. And sometimes, and the sad part is it's not on demand, right? Sometimes you need and you're not getting, but that doesn't mean what you gave won't still come back to you. I mean, we've all reached those panic points.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, you're absolutely right. That person may not be the person that comes back and gives it to you, right? And it's not even like going out and like, if you just go out and do good things. This was my day one orientation with all my salespeople when I was a sales director. It was like giving them the rundown of the company history and all that stuff. But it was like, if you go out and you do good things for people, it will work out for you. And I'm not talking about like, knock, knock, Wendy, remember that thing I did a few months ago? It's time to pay up.
Time to pay up, yeah.
It's not like that. Like, if you go out and you do good things for people and you think of people and you're like, Wendy, you need to meet so-and-so, and you connect those people.
It's my passion. I love that. It makes me...
And when it's just working in the background, you don't even know.
Yes. I mean, I and one of the committee members, we actually were really strategic this year, to the point where we're actually going to start a service where we will facilitate the introduction to somebody you need to know, because we're not introducing you to, hey, this person is knocking on doors, selling lawn service. It's people that you need to know for some reason, because for a couple reasons. One, we do get busy.
Yeah.
And while we want to do that, we don't always have time for that. And two, sometimes they don't know who they need to know. We get so caught up in what I expected from this person.
Yep.
And they didn't give me what I expected, when the reality is, but they had the opportunity to play 3 other roles. You're not my client, but do you know my client? Are you a resource to my client? Are you going to be a collaborator that shows me off to new clients? Are you going to mentor me? And that's something else that people don't consider often enough. A mentor can also be somebody who shows you what you don't want to be.
Yes.
They don't have to be a positive. They could be that, I'm not doing that. Yeah.
I had a mentor that 75% of everything I learned from him was changed my life. And then that other 25%, I was like, I'll never do that. I'll make sure that I stay away. And it increased my success, the success of my leadership. One thing that he would do is you take other people's ideas and to other people would claim them as his own. And I'd hear so many times things that I had thought of, or that I brought him to him, or somebody else that I knew brought to him, that he would go out and tell other people oh yeah, and then I thought of this, and it was I'll never do that, because I don't even want to go give that guy an idea anymore, right? I don't want to even do that.
Yes,
it's just something about that. So that was, in a leadership standpoint, if somebody brought an idea to me and it worked out, I made sure everybody knew about it. But
that's how we build those people who know our names, is because we are generous with the credit. I don't need the credit. If it went well and I got to be a part of it, I am excited.
Yeah.
It would only make me look bad if we were I'm the one that came up with that idea. Wendy, you did not invent the Big Mac. So it doesn't matter how long you think so. Yes. Yes. And there was something else that you said about, I can't even remember. Maybe it will come back to me.
Yeah.
So, but I'm late to the game, but I finally read The Go-Giver.
Oh, The Go-Giver is phenomenal.
And I read it because I had so many people have you read that book? Because you act like it.
Yeah.
And you know what it's just like you said, you help other people. And when you connect without expectations, that's where opportunities are found. And it was actually a really good book for me to read, because I'm really bad at the law of reciprocity, where I almost don't know how can I help you? I have absolutely no idea how you can help me, but here's something I can do for you. Okay. So yes, that you have to receive so you can give more.
I have the end of the trust builder I don't know, but I'll send you that.
Yes, exactly. Let me make that introduction to you. No, it's fine. I know it's $1 million deal that you're going to make, but you can, send me a thank you card. No, gosh darn it, Wendy, you have to, it's okay. It's okay. Yeah.
But part of it is especially if I'm meeting somebody for the first time, I don't really know you well enough yet to go and then ask for something.
That's true too. I do have a trick for that.
Yeah, what is that?
So if you are talking to somebody and they say, how can I help you? Or you ask, how can I help you? And they don't have an answer, you can flip that question on its head and actually say, what do you need right now? Because they don't know you either. They don't know your resources. They don't know your skill set. They don't know how sincere you are, or if it's just that have a nice day societal politeness.
Yeah.
But when you say, what do you need right now? They're going to tell you, I need $1 million in a 6-week vacation. You're like, I know a travel agent who can help you with that one. But so
we have $1 million, but
right. So I don't know how you can help me, but I do know what I need.
Yeah.
Me sharing what I need, you sharing what you need, suddenly makes it much easier to connect that spider web to say, have you thought of this? How you looked at that? So it's so much of what I coach is really not rocket science. It's just a flip. It's just the tiniest little flip. So even I need to. And another question that this was not mine. Mish Raymond taught this to me, where you ask the person, who is so cool that I need to know them? Right. You're not saying I'm awesome. Who should I know? It's who do you think is cool that I should know? And it always results in a conversation with somebody else.
Yeah.
So it's just keeps you moving. Yeah. It's usually just a flip of the coin, or a little bit of a mindset shift, or bring intention. And so many professionals, their goal is to get to the event. My clients, their goal is what they want to have to do after the event. So they're reverse engineering what's there. That actually, I made it. I never did anything with it. Maybe I should. I had just a basic skills client 2 years ago, and she wouldn't go to anything. So I went with her. Right. You know, once again, I'm a bully, but out of love.
Yeah.
And I started noticing these like archetypes of networking professionals at this event. There's the girl at the bar. She showed up, never left the bar, never talked to anybody who didn't come up to her and talk to her. Why did you go?
Why did you go?
But because for her, the goal was to get there.
Yeah.
Now what? Right?
Now
It's
what?
like
Ooh.
you know, leaving the door open and the dog gets out and they're excited that they got out, but they don't know what to do at the end of the driveway because they've never been this far. Right? So you got the girl
Great
at the
analogy.
bar.
Yeah.
You got I have to rename it, so we're just gonna call it I don't know, a Chuck, because I've been calling it the name of this person. Don't be a Chuck, right? That's not his name. That's not his name. That's right. But he had his calendar out and was booking appointments. And I'm like, this is why no one wants to talk to you.
Dude.
You're talking about let's do a trust builder or let's have a one-to-one conversation. You're booking sales calls.
Yeah.
That's why no one wants to talk to you. You know, so there's all of these different.
Put it away, Chuck.
And it's kind of fun. It's kind of fun once you become aware of this. So next time you go to a chamber event, you're going to see the girl at the bar. You're going to see the Chuck. You're gonna see those. Oh, this you know, the person that's making friends. This is the person who's paid to be here. So they're socializing on the clock. Look at me. So it's really interesting to see these different personalities, these different archetypes. So that going to the event is not the goal. Although I will admit, back in the day when I first joined the chamber, I was so poor. I would go to chamber events for the food. I'm not kidding. It's because they feed you everything. I've actually told people, if you're worried about your budget, join a chamber because they feed you at every event.
That is awesome.
It's true though.
Life hack
It's
for an
so
entrepreneur.
True. It's a life hack. It's a life hack. Yes.
So you mentioned two things that
Yeah.
you start talking about that. One, preparing for what are you going to do after?
Right.
Because I think that's so huge. Is people, and you expanded on it more. Is they plan just to get to the event.
That was the whole
Going
plan.
to the golf event, just going to the event.
Yeah.
You should really be like today, tomorrow, like your calendar should be full with trust builders because you're able to, again, kind of farm and build those, like catch back up to people. Hey, or you do meet somebody for the first time because you're golfed with them and now you're setting up, let's connect after this so I can learn more about how we can support each other.
We were really leaning into that this year. I actually have two comments to that. One, we really leaned into that at the golf event. We, everyone, when they checked in, they got a card that was written for them with the name of 3 other attendees that they should connect with.
That's so awesome.
And I didn't tell them why.
Yeah.
That's just something I saw. That was very time consuming, but I will do it again next year.
That's so cool.
Because I'm going to offload the busy stuff so I can focus on that. The other thing too is we actually did a printed directory with the contact information of every single person who submitted it in a timely fashion, right? Because printing takes time.
Oh,
right?
yeah.
So this is not a a week of thing.
Yeah.
But I wanted you guys to have each other's contact information so you could reach out. Hey, we didn't get a chance to connect, but I would love to know more about you.
That's huge. Yeah.
It's huge. It is huge. And then at the breakfast event, I was there out of support. I had 3 coaching clients there in the room, and we had been working on the effective self-introduction. The effective self-introduction from 10 seconds to 2 minutes. And I call it the Lego blocks. We're going to create a self-introduction for you that you can literally plug and play depending on the room you're in, right? If you want to speak to this audience, you already know how to do that. You're going to take one of these, 2 of those, and put them together. And at that event, everybody got 30 seconds to introduce themselves. We worked on that. We planned it. We talked about it beforehand. And my clients nailed it.
That's awesome.
Every single one of them had somebody come up to them after. They did not have to go talk to people. The way they introduced themselves brought them to them.
That's fantastic.
And that's what we talk about too.
Yeah.
It's what can you do to get them to start the conversation for you. And part of that for me is actually how I dress. I dress with intention too. I usually dress to impress because at some point someone's going to come and go, oh my God, I love your necklace. I love that jacket. Thank you. I'm Wendy. Who are you? There are, like I said, there's so many and they're like, oh, yes, it's not rocket science, but it is a skill.
Yep.
And it's not a default skill.
It's all the intent. It's all the little detail things.
So
and I think to your point, a lot of people go to whether it's a Searsnet or a golf event or a chamber event or whatever they're going to with the anticipation that they're going to end with business. And you use it as kind of a funny thing and we laugh about it. But there are people that literally they go and it's a disappointment because they didn't. What'd you get out of the event? Nothing, you know, and they will never go back because they didn't sign their deal, or they didn't get some big significant piece of business.
Your hunter is too strong. Settle down now.
Settle down. Don't kill it.
Or the expos.
You'll never get another one, you know.
The expos. I talked to. I was referred to a company. Yep. They spent more than $10,000 to have a booth in an expo. And
how many did they call?
And the only plan they had was put a flyer in a different person's hand every 60 seconds. Like you would have gotten the same results if you had just thrown the flyers in the air and waited for people to pick them up. You need to make a connection. You need to create a warm, fuzzy moment for the people so they remember your booth, so they remember you, so that if you do follow up, they're going to remember you. You're not just going to be that irritating person from the expo who's now put them on a mailing list.
Yep.
So it is so many different things. The expo is it depends on the intent. It could be foraging, it could be fishing, but it is because it's still that random. But if that's your idea of an ROI, and in addition to that was $10,000 for the booth. They also had hotels and they flew people, but they didn't want to talk to me because they were busy.
Yeah.
They feel, and that's actually part of the challenge. Busy feels productive.
It does.
You feel like you're making so much progress, even if you're spinning in a circle.
Spinning in a circle.
So I don't look at my calendar and think, oh my God, I need more appointments. Sometimes I look at my calendar and think I'm doing something wrong because my calendar is too full.
Yeah.
You know,
yep.
And I feel bad because there are some people that they're like, hey, can we have a trust builder in September? And I'm like, how about October?
Yeah.
I don't mean to do this to you, but I am no good if I have too much on my plate. Yeah, I'm not serving anybody, let alone myself. Yeah.
Absolutely. The expos are so funny. I love as a sales director working at expos. Yeah. And we'd have a process that I taught all my people that it was having conversation and then taking notes, and the people that were calling back were now like, hey, we had this conversation about X, Y, Z. And so you have a whole script per se, you know what you're talking about. And then they're like, oh, they remembered me.
You personalized
Especially when you're calling from an expo where they know you talk to thousands of people or hundreds of people or however many people are at the event. Mm-hmm. So when you're calling them like that, however, most people don't even call those leads. They spend all that money to go to that event. They collect whatever leads they get from people, and then it sits in a bucket until the next time they go to an event, and then they pull up and then all their names are in there, and they just empty them out and do it all over again. It's how many people are wasting that money to
again, the feeling of productive.
Yes.
But a little intent, a little strategy, bring that ROI that you're looking for. And we
talked about this because you talked about awareness so many times, and it's be aware. If you're falling into this bucket, be aware. Yeah. And what you're saying is you're giving a very clear what to do and what to do instead. Yeah.
Yeah. And we didn't even talk about networking in pairs, I love to work an event with someone else.
Oh, geez, I do too. My favorite thing. Yeah.
So exactly. Yep. And that's seriously underestimated, or unaware, because, they're there for themselves. That sounds selfish, but it's so much easier to start a conversation, especially with someone on the inside of those expos.
Yeah.
If you are with somebody else, because you talk about them, and then eventually they ask what you do too. So they started the conversation. And if it doesn't go that far, you literally are supporting this person that you're with, right? You're sharing them with others. So there's so much benefit to, oh my gosh, I was at an event. My best friend is a client, but she was a client before she was a best friend. So that's when we talked about that. Clients become friends faster. When we go to an event that we're both at, we've actually done it so frequently that it's nonverbal communication between us now.
Oh, I love it.
Like we're not together. We no longer work rooms together. We work rooms separately, and then we kind of do the. And then we know, okay, that's somebody I need to go talk to, or she needs to come over here now.
Yeah.
So it's that once again, that network, you never regret creating it, even if you never use it, but it is designed to make things easier and more effective, faster. And you and I both know the majority of people that need us never realize it themselves until they've been doing it for 3 to 5 years.
Yeah.
It's going to be 3 years from when we start. Please don't wait 5 years to start. So, to learn from us, we made the mistakes.
Absolutely.
I'm 10 years into I'm 25 years into relationship building, not realizing that's what I was doing. I'm 10 years into being a professional networker, but it's only been like the last 3 that I'm like, oh, this is a thing. People don't know this is a thing.
Yeah.
So yes. And it's also really good to have this focus when you're starting new, because you don't have enough. And I this is not even a joke. I honestly think the first year is you're being tested. Do you really want to do this? Right?
Absolutely. Yeah.
Year 2, it's kind of starting to click. Okay. All right. And then year 3, you're like, oh my God, look what I've done. Most people don't make it past the first year.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't matter. They don't make it in their profession. They don't make it in their network. They don't make it at the chamber. They did their 12 months. They didn't make $1 million and they're out. Honestly, I don't want to terrify people, but it's the 3-year mark where you feel it, so.
But the consistency is key in what you're building every day for those first 3 years is what then comes back and pays off.
Yes. And then back to what we were talking about. If you've been making those sincere connections those 3 years, you might do something different. They might be doing something different, but you're still connected.
Absolutely.
Because the connection was between people, not business cards.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. There's more I was going to add into that, but I'm going to go that way. Have you read the book, The Alchemist?
I have not.
Oh, read the book. It's so incredible.
Okay.
I haven't finished it yet. Have you read the book, The Alchemist, Grant?
No, I have not.
Oh, okay. You get both to read The Alchemist. But
okay.
So it's a fictional story, and it's about chasing your personal legend. And because I'm reading the book, it's like
so fun. I love that.
I'm like, it makes me think of you this whole entire time, because it's going through and hitting the obstacles, and and I think of working at the corporate America, and just finally being told to figure it out and having enough and like peace out. Yeah. Finding a credit card processing company that wasn't really your destination.
No,
that was meant to help you find really
what I don't
your personal legend to start.
Yes,
because then it kept unfolding, and it's still going to keep unfolding.
You actually just reminded me of something. Someone I worked with there, and I left there. 2013. So spring of 2013 is when I left that corporate job. Somebody I worked with left around Christmas of last year, and she reached out to me. This is like a point of pride. Apparently, you still can't mention my name in that department. I haven't worked there in 10 years, and you cannot mention my name to that manager.
That is awesome.
Infamous. Infamous. But I love that your own legend. It's your legacy.
Yeah.
And I named
many people give up when that hard time gets tough and the dirt gets kicked in their face But
that's also I really should do more about why I chose the name Crusaders, because I wanted a name that had energy to it, that had a call to action, like roar. It's got a thing to it, right?
Yeah.
Crusaders. What is a crusader? A crusader is someone who has faith that if they commit to the journey, they will accomplish the goal. They don't know what obstacles are in their way, and they don't care. They're going to overcome them. And a true crusader is someone who meets people who will share their journey with them, even if they're not sharing the same destination. And that's, I mean, if you just think of the historical Crusader and you take their religion out of it, they were moved by faith that they would accomplish this goal if they just went. And they found people who helped them. I mean, even fictional, Lord of the Rings, Frodo had a mission, and people shared it, even though they had different goals in mind. So that's why my business name is not an apostrophe S. It's just an S.
Love it.
We're all crusaders. We are all on our path. But if we open ourselves up to who we can help and who will walk with us, we are far more likely to not get detoured, not get stuck. I mean, and you and I both know sometimes, unfortunately, the path forward is backwards. You have to back up and go around. That's why I talk a lot about, these landscapes as an atlas. It's a map. You're working your way around to get what you need to get to the goal.
I love this. It's like just talking about the growth in general. It's more of a zigzag than a linear up and down.
We've all seen that meme, right? What you think success looks like, what it actually looks like, right? Yes. The guy walking the tightrope over the crocodile-infested river, Yeah.
So the Alchemist, go back to the Alchemist.
Yes,
there's a
please.
meme, like you'll know what I'm talking about, where there's the coal mine or the guy who's mining for diamonds, and then he like turns around and gives up because there's like this thin wall that comes from the Alchemist. So just that story.
Does it? Okay.
Like, and it's that
Acres
how many
of Diamonds
people
is from that story, or is that just something?
It's from that. Yeah. So there's it's an incredible book, but he's like telling this story about how he like helped this guy. It's just in the sense of, again, your personal legend, living it. Most people give up when the going gets tough, or when it gets hard, or you get in a relationship, or different things happen that make you give up on that, and turn your blind eye to it.
Right.
And I keep talking about the book because I think every entrepreneur should read this. Read this book, because it is that.
It feeds the soul of an entrepreneur.
Yeah, because it's. Once you want something, the world conspires to give it to you. You just have to look for the omens. You have to look for the right things. And what it is that we're looking for is what we'll find.
Right.
And if we're in that entrepreneurial journey and we're like, God, this sucks, we're going to find all the things. There's so much that sucks. There could be so much to be like, I just would rather have a job, right? But
I went that route at one point.
Yeah.
It made me incredibly unhappy.
Right? But then you just had to find. You knew you were meant to be an entrepreneur somewhere.
Somehow. I
just didn't know where.
I blame Girl Scouts and Amway for that.
Yeah.
That's a odd thing. But I was, always the girl selling whatever. I sold ink pens. I sold calendars. I sold, cookies. I sold wrapping paper and business Christmas cards, and my parents were active Amway people in the 1980s, right?
Yep.
And it was all about, you said you want to earn more, you make more. You're responsible for your own successes. The goal setting. There was always a Cadillac hanging on the door in the kitchen, and that entrepreneurial spirit. I really think I saw it. Because Amway gave it to my parents, right? I mean, obviously it wasn't something that worked out big for them.
Yeah.
But it did give them that you want more, you can do that for yourself, right? Instead of and we've all been that person too. I mean, we all go through those jobs where it's easy to just be that, well, if they want me to work for $10 an hour, they're getting $10 an hour of effort, right? That's easy.
Yeah.
That's easy. The harder thing is saying, I want more, so I'm going to have to go do it myself.
Yep.
No one is going to hand it to me. No one's going to pay you $1,000. I'm sure someone gets paid $1,000 an hour, but nobody I know. So, but maybe you are worth $1,000 an hour, so go sell yourself and make $1,000 an hour.
I had this woman that wanted to be a manager of one of my retail locations, and she was just a phenomenal salesperson. But she'd come to me and she'd be like, I have all these great ideas I want to do, and I have these, I'd be a great leader, but you have to give me the title before I give it to you. And I was like, that's not how this works.
Weirdly,
you know,
it's really, it's not. You're holding me hostage. That's what you're telling me.
Like, no, that's not how it works. You show me what you can do. And then, and this isn't, you show me and I'm going to give you free work, like, and then take advantage of you. And if that's the case, like, you don't want to work with somebody like that, right? Like, but I'm telling you, like, show me what you can do, because right now you're not showing me anything. And you're telling me that if I give you a title, you'll show me something magical that you haven't showed me before. So like, how would I ever believe that? Like I've rubbed the lamp today and I'm going to get it. Like, no, like show it to me now. Show me what because if you want to make more, if you want to do more, you've got to make more and do more.
Yeah. I mean, I've had experiences with that, 2015, 2016, when I'm still founding SearsNet teams.
Yeah.
There's always that one person who I want you to start a group and I'll help you build it. And I don't know if it was just that, because we all have had those moments where, oh crap, I'm not as connected or influential as I thought. But I did that often enough in that time period to quickly realize the people who say that can't deliver. Maybe they really want to, but so it's kind of like, well, why don't you find 10 people that will commit, and then we'll start a team instead of the other way around. So that's kind of what I heard when you're telling me she's telling you all these things that she will do if you give her what she wants, but she's not showing you that she can.
Yep. Awesome. Go get 10 people and I'll help you build the group.
Right. Right. Exactly. Yes. I will facilitate your I will reinforce your invitation, but I will not do it for you. Yeah.
And it was like, even when you talk about coaching clients, it's the people, if you lead them to the horses to water, but you can't make them drink. There's some people, they want it, or they say they want it, but just go do it. Yeah. Go show me, and then I'll be right there.
Yeah. And that's actually, I mean, it's kind of a weird thing. It's servant leader is a real. It's a thing, but it feels very buzzy sometimes the way it gets used by people. Like, what's another thing that was really big for industry disruptor? Everyone was an industry disruptor for a while. Yep. And the servant leader thing is, if that's their nature, but maybe it's not. For me, I'm not a do it for you service. I am not I'm not going to hold your hand. I'll walk with you. I will support you, encourage you, keep you motivated, keep you focused on what you are capable of doing, but I won't do it for you. And if that's, just like you're a sales coach. You are not their salesman. Yeah. You're not making sales for them. You're going to help them do it.
Yep.
Same thing for me.
Yep.
I'm not here to hold your hand. I'm here to inspire you, because you can do this. You got it.
Yep. And
now the parts of you that can get you there. Let's develop those.
And they don't even need you at that point anymore. They can go do it. Right?
I actually have done that before, where I've said that more than once in social media posts, where when I do a good job, I lose a client.
Yeah.
But I've also have said that that's my goal. Yeah. I do not want to create dependence on me. I would love for you to be a client for the next 10 years.
Yep.
I do not want you dependent because you're incapable without me. So
when we talked about you, and that's just thinking about it, I totally forgot about this, but in the Carol Eckerly episode, we talked about you, because it was like you were able to learn from her and then go and do it yourself, right?
Yes,
like,
that's literally, because oh boy, that wasn't it. The first time she turned the camera on me, I'm like, okay, well, wait a minute. All right. Right. Where now I'm just like, I'll set up the camera. I'll rant for 3 minutes, because most of my monologues are really just passion. Yeah. You'd be surprised at how many monologues you guys never see, because I'm not wearing makeup and I'm not recording myself. But yes. And I think that should be considered a measurement of being a truly sincere professional.
Yep.
Is I'm not making you sick, so you have to take my medicine. It's I want you to go the ripple, the ripple in the water. I want to be the stone that got you rippling, and you're going to positively impact someone else.
Yes.
So I'm going to have to watch Carol's episode now. I didn't know you talked about me.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Well, because I knew.
Hi, Carol.
It was literally, so we were talking and and I
Carol.
knew you had worked with her, but I knew that we had that conversation of how, hey, I'm learning now, I can do it. And it was like, and she was like, yeah, she was the one that was able to pick up and go. And it's so awesome.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah. And again, it wasn't planned. It just kind of happened in the conversation, you know?
And not to keep kind of coming back to different services I offer, but that's actually something that I have on my website. Some people don't need coaching. They just need to go that direction. Okay, thanks.
Yep. Oh, for sure.
So if you just need the insight, the perspective, and a couple suggestions, again,
I love when I sit there in a room and I just ask like stupid questions, and then they're like, "Thank you so much." And I'm like, I didn't even do anything. I was like sitting here.
You inspired them. So, yeah. So, you know, once again, not trying to create dependence. I want them to,
Well, and that's the
be
best.
able to move
when
on
you
their
want
own.
to, when you have a coach that is empowering you to move forward. That's
actually a tattoo on my hand. Keep moving forward.
Oh, I love that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
That's awesome. Wendy, this has been phenomenal.
Thank you, Jason.
Thank you for coming down.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, my pleasure.